on Halfley, boys, before we move on. We're going to talk a little Jayden Reed here.
Oh, let's talk Bird. Let's go.
All right. This is something that, listen, you got two different types of fans right now. They're either seeing this and going, oh, crap, or they're going, this is a nothing story, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a little truth to both, to be honest with you. But Packers GM, this is from Adam Schefter, okay? And we're going to kind of decipher this and talk about why did Adam Schefter tweet this out. I've seen other people that they don't want to get caught in the middle of I'm on this side, I'm on that side. So they just want to say, well, this is a stupid tweet. Adam Schefter tweeted this out for a reason. It's not because Adam Schefter wanted clicks. It's not because Adam Schefter needs the engagement. I'm telling you, this got tweeted out for a reason. I'll tell you what my opinion is on it, but here's what he tweeted. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst met last week with Jayden Reed's agent Drew Rosenhaus to clarify the wide receiver status in Green Bay after the team drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. The team said it will not affect Reed's status as its top receiver per source. Here's what I think that tweet was about. That tweet was about, hey, look, first of all, you remember when we went to dinner on Wednesday night in Green Bay? Yep. Who was out in front of the restaurant? Drew Rosenhaus, right?
Yeah.
So you had Drew Rosenhaus, Peter Schrager, Mike Greenberg from ESPN. Later, who walked into that room as well? Adam Schefter, right? So you had the whole ESPN crew there. Do you think it was just a coincidence that Drew Rosenhaus ended up eating in the same restaurant, not in the same room, but the same restaurant as the ESPN guys? They're constantly feeding information back and forth to each other. We tell you, when a report drops, if it's not complete BS, and I think it's rare that the top insiders do that, to be honest with you, when a report drops or a tweet drops, it's because it came from the agency or it came from the team. And both sides use those insiders to get their side of the story out, right? So why did this get tweeted out? In my opinion, this is Drew Rosenhaus protecting his client, going, hey, look, Goody, I know you told me that Jayden Reed's going to be a vital part of this offense. However, I'm going to put it out in the public eye, right, without them knowing it's me, knowing it. I guarantee you Goody went, well, Rosenhaus told him that. That's exactly where this came from. So what that does is that puts, I don't want to say pressure on Goody, but it holds him accountable for what he told him in that meeting that, hey, look, Jayden Reed is going to be a vital part of this offense. There's some fans that see that as a negative. I see that as a positive. Jayden Reed wants to make sure, hey, boys, I want to be in the thick of this thing. And if you don't see me that way, then maybe we need to part ways. I think that's a good thing. He wants the damn ball in his hands. Now, I'm going to say this too. This isn't dogging the Packers. This is just the reality of the situation. Romeo Dobbs' situation last year, in my opinion, that whole kerfuffle, if that's the proper word to use here, was Romeo Dobbs seeing his touches being taken away by Dontavion Wicks, and he wanted to voice his opinion. He just did it in the wrong way. Right? He skipped 2 practices, and that didn't put him in better standing with the team. Why did he do that? He's seen the writing on the wall that they're trying to kind of replace his touches with a younger player that's under contract longer. That's the business of football. It's a dirty business. But Goody and LaFleur is going to do what's best for the team, and Romeo Dobbs and Jayden Reed are going to do what's best for them, and hopefully something can kind of be married underneath there, Tim. You know what I mean? So when I look at this, I think that's what this is. I don't think it's something that should be overblown. I think it's just Jayden Reed getting some clarification and doing it the right way and having his agent just sit down with the GM. What Jayden Reed, the wrong thing to do would have been Jayden Reed tweeting and going, we drafted 2 wide receivers, WTF. Yep. That would have been the wrong thing, right, Tim?
And we've seen circus acts like that before from players in other organizations, you know. So I think it's a credit to Bird in the way that he's approaching this coming season. You know, I think he's focused, and you're right. That's the type of dude you want to run your offense through, right? Give me the ball right now kind of guy. Game's on the line, high pressure situation. We need a conversion, whatever. You don't want the guy that cowers away. You want the guy that steps up and says, "Give me the ball." And, you know, I think being a pro on the field and off the field is one of the things that we've known Jayden Reed to do constantly since he's, you know, arrived in Green Bay. So I think it's the right way to go, you know, put it out there through the right channels and let the nerds like us talk about it on our podcast, you know, and we'll see what comes out of this. But, you know, I think you're right. It's not a nothing burger, but it's definitely not anything to get all excited over at this point.
Yeah, he's for the Packers, man. That's all I care about. He wants the ball. He wants to play. Wants to be part of this offense. And you know, J-Lo's still going to keep chucking it down there to him. So I'm not worried. Like you said, if it's a problem in a month or two from now, let's talk about it. But I think he'd be excited. A little bit of talent, maybe a little bit something to take their eyes off of him. Maybe he can get those deep crossers, and it got opened up because of Golden or something.
I'm looking forward to him just being a receiver and not having to return kicks and punts.
Right.
That. We got 2 rookie receivers here. You know how they're gonna get rotated in there, at least one of them. So hopefully, Bird gets a little break on special teams and can focus on the.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice. We bring in enough to just not even have to worry about him being back there.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, if you look back at Jayden Reed and when he got hurt and how his play, I don't want to say declined because he just stopped getting as many touches. You could tell that LaFleur didn't go to him as often. I think it was because he was banged up and they were asking him to do more on punt return. That all started when he went to punt return. So I think you bring up a great point that, hey, now that you got 2 more guys in Mecole Hardman and potentially Savion Williams to return kicks, I think that would – I don't want Jayden Reed returning kicks. That's just me personally. Yep. I want him playing receiver. That's where he's most dynamic, in my opinion. So Holmes in the chat said, anyone who shrinks from competition isn't a Packer. Amen to that, Holmes. And again, I've seen some people, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Holmes, but I've seen some people on Twitter, they were making it sound like, oh, he doesn't want to compete. I don't see it like that at all. I see it as a guy going, hey, look, I want to make sure we're on the same page. I want the damn ball, and I'm going to go out there and prove it. That's the way I take it. And Jayden Reed, don't get me wrong, or don't forget, he was the guy in Pittsburgh when things kind of hit a little bit of a snag in 2023 as a rookie. He was leading the receiving corps. He was the one pulling those guys together at the locker. I loved hearing Jason Wilde and Matt Schneiden and those guys report on that we looked down the locker room in Pittsburgh, and all the receivers were huddled around Jayden Reed's locker. I'm like, let's go. Let's freaking go, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's kind of how I see that whole situation there. Greg Rice says, open and honest communication is the cornerstone of a great organization. Completely agree. Too old for this says, at the end of the day, Good is only in charge of personnel and not play. Matt will make them all earn it. I agree with that too.
Yep.
Like, I think Goody has a little bit of say. Too old for this. Not like, Matt, you need to start this guy. But I guarantee you Matt goes to him for advice, and I bet Goody goes to Matt for advice as well. It does feel like they work pretty well together. Right.
Yeah, right.
So I could see a little bit of both sides of that story, but I'm with you. Like, Matt's not going to put those guys out there unless it gives them the best opportunity to win. There's no doubt about that. Nobody's going to put their job on the line to prove a point or to try to, completely bend towards a contractual situation. So,
and like 99.9% of receivers in the NFL are all concerned about their touches, right? They're all concerned about their targets. They're all concerned about their role in an offense. So, I don't think this is a super huge deal right now. Really don't.
No.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. MG Toe Legend says, let Hardman return kicks. He is expendable. He's kind of cold-hearted. He's expendable. Put him out there and get trucked over. I disagree with that part, but I'm with you on Hardman returning. I think it's really his best shot of making this roster too, to be honest with you. So, and again, we talk about this every May and every June, guys. But the reality is, by the time you get to the end of training camp, most of the time injuries kind of make that final decision for you anyway, right? It could be Mecole Hardman on the hour. It could be, another receiver on the hour that gives him the roster spot type thing, right? But I kind of see him as that 6th receiver right now and someone who can not that he's 6th best on the team, but I think he's 6th in line of who they want to get the touches to, because you still do have players like Malik Heath who, with his opportunities, did pretty darn well last year. So anything else on the Jayden Reed talk here? We got about 3 more minutes if y'all want to add anything else. So is there anything I'm missing in terms of maybe deployment? Because I'd like to see him at the Z as much as the slot and let Matthew Golden work in and out of the slot in the Z, and you can rotate Dontavion Wicks in the X, whether it's with Dobby or if it's just something that Savion and Dontavion Wicks try to take that X position if Dobbs does get traded. But anything else regarding wide receiver or Jayden Reed?
Yeah, putting him on the outside wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, he's willing. He's a willing blocker. He doesn't mind to do it. But if we can bring in Savion or have Tucker in the slot there, working on those cracks or, working inside up to the linebacker, I think that would be beneficial to Matt. But again, you still have to keep him in some of that orbit game, though. He's just so nasty when he gets the ball in his hands coming out of the backfield like that if you kind of take it away from him, I just don't want it to I just don't want Matt to go from one extreme to the other, right? Just take everything off of one plate and put it all on somebody else's. I think there's got to be a little bit of a balance across there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. There you go. There is your Jayden Reed conversation. Again, just wanted to kind of touch on that. I love seeing the chat too. You guys are awesome, man. Just people on the podcast don't want to hear this stuff, but it's just cool to see, I don't know, people kind of creating friendships. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely,
and real conversation in there too about mental health and stuff like that. They were talking about Romeo Dobbs, and we talked about it last year. There's no doubt in my mind that he deals with a little bit of, being an introvert and kind of that not really knowing how to express himself when things maybe ain't going the way you want and all that.
I just caught the ball.
At the end of the day, it comes down to these are people, and that's one thing that does bother me about social media is how, sometimes fans, because they're getting paid millions of dollars, that makes them less of a person. Like, go out there and jump for me, that type of thing. It's just crazy. Like, at the end of the day, these guys aren't going to care about how much money they made, especially when you see so much going on with mental health and things like that across not just our country, but the entire world. So taking care of one another is what it's all about, man. And I really do like how this roster's coming together. And now you got all these guys that were young last year and they're coming up together. And now you added a couple key veterans. Actually, it was 3 veterans when you include Miko Hardman, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you're just kind of stabilizing that whole locker room. I'm really excited to see what they can do this year. So there you go, Jayden Reed. I think we're going to be fine there. Just wanted to hit on it because it was a big talking point there earlier today. Professor Cake says, I feel like Hardman is a roster lock if he can guarantee the starting punt return role. I think that would be a good use of a roster spot, Professor Cakes. That's huge. Like you said, if that frees up Jayden Reed to do what he needs to do, and we know that Keyshawn Nixon has never been good. I don't want to say good, never been great at punt return. He was always great at kickoff return, right?
Right. Yep.
And so, some people, it's because of Madden Emilio, people like you think just because they're good at kick return, they can return punts too, right?
Yeah, I mean, if their agility's 99 and their speed's like in the 90s somewhere, we're good to go. I just need them to get side to side.
Tim, he's got a threshold chart for his return team. Excelio.
I don't care about the awareness right now. I just need agility and acceleration.
I love it.
Yeah, Professor.
I agree with that though, because if you keep Hardman on in a punt return role, it's a way to keep a receiver without keeping a receiver, right? And you grind through a season. If you need to call on a guy like McCole Hardman to jump into the slot or go play out wide, he can do it for you. Might not be ideal for a starting role, but certainly a guy with 2 or 3 Super Bowl rings and some experience in big games. So I think there's truth to the sentiment that his best way onto this football team is probably as a returner, but I think he brings a little bit more to the table as far as depth too. So it's kind of a win-win if that does actually happen.
And what I did like was what Halfley was talking when they asked him about Colin Oliver. Like, do you see him as a designated pass rusher, a DPR, or just a specialist guy? And he's just like, no, I mean, I think that we can really use him in a lot of other aspects. I just don't want to look at a player as just a specialist guy. I don't ever want to look at because there's so much more to, the possibility of his career and all that you can build on and help them get better.
Yeah, I think it's very well said. And Halfley, that's just, again, when you're talking to the media, you're talking to your team. And what he just told his team is like, hey, look, it's just whatever's best for the team. That's what we're going to do type thing, right? Doesn't matter if you're a rookie or not. So, and he doesn't see those guys as just, this is the person we brought in to bail me out in that aspect. It's, hey, as a team, let's put the best unit on the field. So really like what he brings to the table. But